Yep, you're on.
Hey, we're live.
Yep. Hey
Welcome,
guys.
welcome everybody. Tuesday, September 24th. Live stream. We're gonna do a Q&A today. I'm just getting out of the field and
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to get some water.
Hold on. It's gonna echo. Sorry guys. Forgot to turn the volume off on my phone. Yeah, but today is a Q&A, a plant tell-all, as I put it on our thumbnail for this session. But basically, we put a question out there. Well, we asked you if you had questions about plants, and a lot of you responded. So we have some fun questions to ask, mostly David. I probably can't answer most of them, maybe some of them. But David is the expert, so he will answer all of your plant questions. All right, do you want to just jump into some of it, or do you have a plan?
Well, what we'll do is we'll run this how we run our Houseplant 101 classes.
Mm-hmm.
So generally those classes in person, or if we do like some sort of private thing, we usually just ask a simple question beforehand. We have this list of questions, and we'll just run through the questions. So that's what we'll do. If you're watching and you have questions, you can enter them into the chat. We'll just put them in the queue.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a lot of the questions group together, and they'll be similar type questions. So we'll try to group them together. Try and be efficient, and we'll run about an hour. But it won't just be me here talking. Generally, I'll try to grab whatever we're talking about, and then show what we're doing. I don't like to. I can't keep my hands from being busy, so sometimes I got to be doing something.
Hey, Renee.
Get some dirty
Renee,
hands.
Renee says, "Hey, peeps."
Hello.
How's it?
Hi. So Crystal has the list of questions.
Yeah.
So I'll have her ask, and then maybe she'll help me if we need to grab something from around here to show. But what's our first question?
Well, it kind of bounces all over the place, so I'm trying to decide where to start. Let's start with something a little easier. First question comes from Erica in New Orleans, and the question is, what plant is best for low natural light?
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Low natural light. So we're talking, if you're in a house, we're talking like a north-facing room or an east-facing room. So naturally, just so everybody knows, if we're inside, windowed rooms, obviously, south-facing rooms and west-facing rooms are going to be the brightest. But then we've got like bathrooms or east rooms or north rooms. The north room's going to be obviously the most shady, especially New Orleans in the summer. It's probably hot. You got shades or something covering up the windows. So you want to try to get plants that will be their best. So I guess speaking directly, most plants prefer to have some sort of bright indirect light. So no matter what, plants prefer to have a little bit of bright shade or bright indirect light. That's where they would grow best. But there is plants that will do fine in a less than ideal spot. So peace lily is a flowering plant that does well in low light, but it won't flower as much. The more bright light you give it, the better off it does.
Do you want me to grab something? I can grab a plant.
Well, there's a peace lily, but it's big. It's back there.
You mean this giant one?
No. Yeah, there is this one here.
So I have, okay, so I'm tech savvy today. I actually set up a camera if you want to use it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how well it goes. So it's going to come on your face. Hold on, let me put resume.
Hey, we're trying something new here. It might be awesome, or it might not work at all.
Well, it says it's not working, so.
We're in the latter part of things here.
So I hit resume. Oh, man.
Okay.
we will try this again. But I did set it up to have a mobile camera.
Oh, shucks. Okay.
Maybe it's because I'm on YouTube.
Well,
Okay, let me. Haha. Okay, there you go. So you beware of what you're showing. You're showing our messy yard.
probably. Alright, so
Okay, I'm gonna switch to the full screen mode so that they can see it.
this is a giant peace lily here.
It's really close, just so you're aware.
I don't know.
Wait, are you looking at it? What is it showing?
I can't see anything.
You can't see what's on the camera?
So
Oh.
this is a giant peace lily. So that's going to be one for low light conditions. The ever popular pothos, these are good for low light conditions. They'll do fine. Kind of get right, they'll like grow longer. Peace lily will not flower as much in low light conditions.
You're really close, just so you
It's
know.
a big plant.
I know.
For perspective,
But like you
this
just
giant one.
you just touched the you just touched the leaves and it was just really close. It's
Sorry
fine.
guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't see it. Okay, so those are two. How
You
about I just
actually
turn
your
around?
volume might not be on, actually. You've got this mic going, so I don't know how well it works,
Another
but
plant is fiddly fig.
yep. You want me to show you how close you are?
Yeah, that would be good information.
Well, I mean, okay, so
Well, it's delayed.
yeah, it's delayed. So I can show you this one. Hold on, let me show you this one. That's what you're showing right now.
So fiddly
And
figs.
Unfortunately, my camera's a little bit foggy.
Yeah, and then the other one here. You can have this back. Switch
Okay.
back.
Whoa.
I don't like not knowing what I'm seeing.
All right, I'm gonna switch back to the full screen mode here. We tried that. It was okay.
The other one that I don't have
I need to
out
fix
in
my
this
phone.
area right now, they're somewhere else, are ZZ plants and snake plants. Both of those.
We don't have those?
Not here.
What?
For time's sake, I don't want to go running around
There's one right
the space. You can go get it.
there. I'll go get it.
I don't think there's any snake plants out here.
I don't think there's any.
While she's
snake
doing
plants
that,
out
next
here.
question.
All right, next question.
I know that sometimes I get excited and I start talking a lot, and then it's like 30 minutes on
The other thing is when you're wandering around, they probably can hear you very well because the mic is right here.
So I need to speak.
We need to get our clip-on mics. We will get there eventually.
Okay, what's
it just
next?
Doesn't work. So I think, well, this goes along with the same question she already asked, but she did ask what's best to have in the classroom.
Classroom plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say ZZ plant for sure. If we're talking, so all of those plants would do fine with like the fluorescence or in a classroom. A lot of times, the other plant that is a good gift for teachers that can go in a classroom and live in.
This is
like
also
classrooms.
another question.
What, gifts for teachers?
Gifts for anybody.
Oh.
Best gifts for plants.
And anthuriums.
I would say anthuriums too, because, or any easy care plant, because you just don't know what kind of person you're getting the plant. Unless you know they're like a super planty person, you want to get them something
So this is
relatively
one we're propagating, but there's a
easy.
anthurium.
That one's kind of. This one's.
Yeah, I'm propagating.
It's
that one.
This one is not what it normally looks like.
Be aware.
It's
some
pretty
of this
though. It
stuff
has
we're-
color. See.
So a lot of the stuff that's back in this area we're propagating.
Yeah, a lot
This
of the
is ZZ plant.
like don't come to our house and judge us because a lot of the plants that are here are plants that David just is trying to like he'll see it struggling somewhere else and take it home and fix it. And then once it's fixed then he
Is there a pause on this?
Puts
We
it
got to
back.
work on language again.
what? You
ZZ plant.
you go and you take plants, you hospitalize plants and fix them and then you return them to wherever they came from.
This is ZZ plant. So this is one that's really tall, but usually you can get them a little shorter. That's good for beginners. That's good for classrooms, and that's good for low light places. And then yeah, anthuriums. You can give people gifts. This is a good gift.
That works, Renee.
It's an anthurium. There's different colors. and those are good gifts. It's good for the classroom. They'll give it a little color, and have a flower inside. And I guess other classroom plants. The other one would be spider plant.
Yeah, that's a really good plant because it cleans the air, cleans all the toxins out of the air. It's calming.
So spider plant, I don't have an example right now.
No,
here.
I don't think we have one here.
I have some, but they're over there. They're stuck.
They're at our store.
So,
they're stuck? Why do you mean they're stuck?
Well, no, the one that I have that's over there is stuck to the piece that it's on.
Oh, well, we do have the mobile camera.
No, I don't want to use it.
Okay, he didn't like that mobile camera idea. I tried.
It's a good idea, but it gets too close, you said.
Yeah.
So it's only good for like close up.
I have to figure out how to do this. Or we just need a better camera. That's all.
Okay, next with some other questions.
All right.
Do you have anybody asked any questions while we've been
let me
cruising around
check
here?
the chat. Uh-oh. Every Anthurium I have killed.
Who's this?
Renee Painter.
Okay, so the one thing with Anthuriums is they want to stay moist, and they like humidity, and they like fertilizer.
And Renee, I know, is in Arizona.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep the humidity there.
Well, you would put it on a pebble tray. So you'd get a little saucer, and then just put gravel, rocks below it. Put a little water.
Where are you going?
I was going to try to see if I have.
Well, if you're talking, you need to be by the mic. Well, if there's something you want me to look for, I'll go.
Well, plastic saucer, and then you would put gravel, like a little pea gravel, smaller gravel, and then fill the tray with the bottom of that with water. And then you can set that near the plants or the plant on top of it if you don't have a lot of space, and then that creates humidity right in that general area. And then the Anthuriums really like they like fertilizer. They like foliar fertilizer. That's where we use our leaf and tonic. I use that to help encourage flowering on those, and that's how you get the real nice dark green leaves on the Anthurium. It's going to be from fertilizing.
Now that you talk about fertilizer, there was a question that said, how often do you fertilize?
Depends on the plant, but if you're trying to make things grow, you have to fertilize them.
Helicopter. The military's over.
America's over us.
The military's over us right now.
So during the growing, so it depends on where you live. So let me go back. So if you're in an area that's like mostly warm most of the time, then you can fertilize often. By often, I mean like you could do a slow release fertilizer, and you always have that in there. So every 3 to 6 months, you're replenishing that. Or you're using something like our leaf and tonic that has a natural fertilizer, and that's once a week. Where it is cooler, or if the plant is going dormant, so outside of the growing season, you wouldn't fertilize. So if you're in a colder climate and it's like freezing outside, then the plants are probably slowed down because it's not as hot inside your home. So during those winter months, you wouldn't fertilize until like March or April when it starts to warm up, and then you would start fertilizing again. So if we're staging a house, say we're staging a house, or these are plants that I've got in my own home, so we're fertilizing. So the mist is usually happening 3 out of every 4 weeks for plants that I can do some foliar feeding for, and then otherwise we're pushing fertilizer like every other month here. But here it's tropical, so the growing season is forever, and so I try to put the plants through our own type of climate control. I don't know what you would call it, but just try not to over fertilize. So if say like you're like, oh, I want this plant to grow, and you're not using an organic type fertilizer and you're using like a synthetic fertilizer, you can over fertilize and burn the roots, and you can also put too much salt into the soil of the plant that you're fertilizing. So you really want to try whenever to use organic based fertilizers like bone meal, fish emulsion, fish meal, plant-based fertilizers, so that you're not overdoing it, because the opposite can happen. You can over fertilize stuff, and then the plant is stressed because all the roots are burned. So that's probably a long answer to.
I think it's good.
There's a lot involved in it.
When we publish this live, I am going to break down the chapters of each question so that if you missed the live or you want to go back and remember what he said, because it's a lot of words, I will have little chapters that you can click on and go directly to the question that you are most interested in. So that'll be nice.
So I guess general guidance: follow the label on whatever you're using.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware that those are general labels and not maybe necessarily directly for your microclimate in your home or in your area of the world. And also, too much of anything is not a good thing. So even though fertilizer will push a growth, if you continually do it, it eventually is going to have some negative effects, which is why even here for us, we pull back. And we'll do something different for a little bit.
Okay. This comes from Renee sent this in, but it is from her friend.
Okay.
And it says, my hibiscus plant is on the south side of my house with no shade. The first heat wave we had this summer seemed to burn it up, and it's not coming back. Is there anything I can do to revive it? She is in Yuma, Arizona.
So Yuma, it's like hot,
very hot.
Very, very direct sun. South side, so now we're talking the hottest part of the yard in the entire day. And it doesn't say if it was potted or it was planted in the ground. So
it doesn't say.
Either way, okay, so if you live in a hot spot anywhere southern United States and you're putting a plant that was grown in a greenhouse and you're now introducing it out into the sun, generally you want to slowly do that. But if you're planting in Yuma and it's summer, guaranteed that you're going to have some issues there. I know when I was doing a lot of work there in Arizona, we would typically not plant outside June, July, August. Like we would do everything we could not to put plants in the ground during those months. But if you have to, some remedies would be like a small little shade structure that's built for your little plant if you really want to have your hibiscus on the out there. Whew. But it's going to wilt right in the middle of the summer. So I guess general advice in those types of spaces is not to plant, especially hibiscus there, right? It's going to be delicate stems. It's going to like wilt every day until it's established, which is going to be a while. So I would just wait till the fall, or so either fall or through the winter there to plant hibiscus. If it's a red hibiscus in Arizona, any of the Chinese type hibiscus, they do their best in the winter there anyways. Even when they're established, that's when they look really, really nice and they're full of flowers and stuff. And then the summer, that's actually going to be when they slow down. So things you could do: one, not plant it, especially in the ground. If it's in a pot, just don't put it there. It's got to be in a protected space. And then
when it gets hot, or all the time?
No, just when it gets hot.
Okay.
And that's only when if you just brought this new plant.
Yeah.
Just realize when you buy a plant from a nursery or a store, it's coming right from a greenhouse, which is going to be a shaded space, and you gotta allow time to acclimate to the new space. So that's a real thing, and especially in hot spots with different plants, you're going to get leaf scorch, leaf burn, wilting. So you would want to slowly introduce it there, or that's in a pot, right? So I guess, for example, say you had the plant in a pot, you want to eventually get it on the south side, so you would get it in the pot and put it under a porch lanai in a protected spot for a couple months, and then slowly inch its way out towards the edge, and then that way it gets used to the more direct sun. And then maybe after a month or two, then you could put it in the sun, and then maybe another month, and then you could put it out where you wanted it on the south side and see what happens.
That's a good one. That's a good one. There's another one that kind of relates to the idea of like what to do at certain times of the year. This particular question says, and this is very broad because it depends on where you live, but do I need to do anything different over the fall and winter?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
So
if you're in a snowy place.
yeah, I mean, so yeah, we have tropical plants that we obviously use as house plants.
Mm-hmm.
So usually after the danger of frost has gone away, you can put them outside, but then maybe not all the way out in the sun right away, depending on where you're at. But then as it gets cooler, so right now we're back into fall in most of the colder places. So you really should have a process of bringing those, if you bring those plants outside, of bringing them back inside. And so I would recommend, a couple weeks before it starts, you know wherever you're at, like, or you can easily find out, okay, when does it start getting into the 40s? Because when it's in the 40s, the tropical plants need to go back inside.
Yeah.
So if you live in a place that's like that, you got to protect the sensitive stuff right about that time when it gets into the 40s.
And that what you just said pretty much answers another question that we got, which was, let me find it. How do island plants do on the mainland?
Yeah.
So
let me finish so what I recommend doing when you're going to bring plants back inside is to follow a process.
Mm-hmm.
First thing would be like rinse it off with just regular like hose water, wash it all off. Try to get the bugs, the dust, right? Especially if you've had it outside. Now you're bringing it in. Bugs, dust, other spiders. Try to wash all that stuff off outside. And then after that, so that'll be like a couple weeks before you bring it in. After that, using some sort of insecticide, where we have a leaf and tonic that I would recommend, like an organic type insecticide that's going to knock off some of the bad insects. But you could also use some other sort of insect killer, whatever you have. Follow the label, spray it for insects, and then inspect it before you bring it inside. Because now we're like bringing it back into your house. And then once it's inside, find depending on the plant it is. If you had that plant in full sun outside, that means it can be from, in a west or south facing room. So from direct to bright indirect light inside your home. If you had it in a shady area, then now we're saying, okay, well, don't put it in a direct sun west facing window where the afternoon sun's going to come in, maybe on a table a little further in, or it could be, in another spot that's bright indirect light. And then also when you bring them in, your watering is going to change. So outside, plants are going to dry out way quicker than they would inside. So we're never just watering once a week because we water once a week. I recommend, we're checking the plant and the soil once a week, but maybe not watering. So
what do you mean? Just kidding.
Yeah, so using a moisture meter would be recommended.
If you're like me, just being like, yeah, I'm going to water it on Wednesday or Thursday, it'd be a lot easier. But that's just not the way it works, unfortunately, especially if you start getting into having a lot of plants. I do think that the moisture meter has been the most effective tool for me personally, because I don't know, I would just water it and it probably shouldn't be watered, and I'm like, oh, the top of the soil feels dry, I'm watering it, and that's not usually right. So don't do what I do.
There's funny videos online with people baking cookies, and they're just like putting all the ingredients, but in any random order. They're just trying to
see what happens.
Well, they're not using a specific
recipe,
like exactly like, okay, right?
It
so then the
always,
cookies taste like garbage.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes. So
but
if nothing else, you could use your finger and you just get it as deep as you can into the soil.
And just feel if it's wet.
right? So a lot of plants would be, depending on the plant, there's different watering requirements. Usually it's like, okay, the top 2 inches are going to be dry, or the top inch, 2 inches, maybe it has to be fully dry.
I was gonna grab a pothos. Like if I have a pothos
There's one right here.
and this is the good one, yeah?
Mhm.
This is like the long one. You gotta trim that one up. Gotta clean it up. So like obviously pothos, these are plants for me. This is what I use. This is what I would want to have in my home if I, one, am not very good at being on top of things. That's probably a funny word to say. But I'm just forgetful. And if the plant doesn't talk to me and like say I need something, I'm not even gonna. And maybe even then I forget about it and then it still will die. But these guys, I pretty much can do whatever I want. I can choose to water them on the week I water, or I can wait, and they're usually okay. And if they're not, they start to get a little droopy, and it tells me, hey, I need something. So I really like these plants because they're great for people like me.
Yeah, and so I think we're all out of moisture meters right now, but basically,
yeah, I think we are. We've
if
sold them all.
if you don't have a moisture meter, you just get your finger as deep as you can in there. For this plant, it's the top 2 inches can be dry before you water, but you'd want to just make sure that it's not sopping wet, and now we're just pouring more water on top of it.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's where people go wrong.
Yeah.
So have like a day that you check your plants, but that doesn't mean that you're like watering everything. We're just checking. We're looking for bugs, checking the moisture. Maybe it's spa day time and we got spray that we're giving them.
Yeah.
We want to keep the leaves nice and clean of dust, especially inside, right? There's going to be dust and other things that build up, and then that doesn't allow the plant to photosynthesize with the environment, so it blocks it. So you want to keep, microfiber towel and water if nothing else, and just keep the dust and stuff off of them. We use leaf and tonic a lot of times. That's my weekly spray. I talked about it earlier, but I use that on all the plants that I can to clean the leaves, help prevent pests, and then it also has fertilizer in there, so you can grow nice big leaves. That's where it is used on this.
Yeah, this
thing was like half dead, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to do anything different than I'm going to use leaf and tonic on it. It's been a test, but there's my hand.
The leaf is humongous. I can't even
well.
believe it. It's very exciting to see something that you worked on change and get better. I guess that would be the rewarding part of being a plant parent. For me, sometimes all these plants do stress me out, but the ambience of them is awesome, so I'm glad that I have David to take care of all of them.
Well, the aesthetic of the living plants in a home.
He loves
the
doing
qualities that they give.
He would fiddle out here 24/7 if he could. So, that's awesome. I'm glad that he has that. Do we have an African violet? I don't think so. Okay.
I don't have any right now.
I figure I better ask this question. This does come directly from Renee. She wanted to know, my African violets need attention. I've always watered normally, but then I found out that you have to water them from the bottom. Is that the way it should be?
So, yes, I've always watered and grown African violets by bottom watering. So either in a tray, or they come in their own little African violet pot, and you'd water the saucer and let the plant take it up. If you have so African violets they can be a sensitive plant, and they do like fertilizer. They like to be consistently fertilized. When I mean sensitive plant, sometimes depending on the water that you're watering it in your area, can have like harsh minerals and other things that they don't like, and then they'll just start to yellow out. So you start with this nice beautiful plant, and it just slowly like yellows from the bottom and just gets skinnier and skinnier. That's usually from the water, and maybe you need to use like an RO, reverse osmosis, like water or distilled water or rainwater, and try to not have the normal tap water. That's one of the plants that's sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So,
we've definitely experienced
yeah.
our fair share of
Yeah, and
learning
then
about water types.
the violets need to have fertilizer during the growing season.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a, whatever your growing season is for the area that you live in, you should be fertilizing that regularly during the growing season. You just follow the directions on the bottle.
Yeah.
And then you'll have super happy plants.
I think this comment is addressing the previous thing we were talking about. It says, I have a friend that measures 1/4 cup a week, and I use water bulbs. I think that was referring to their watering methods.
So water bulbs will work on a plant that likes consistent moisture.
Yeah.
But that's not for all plants, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So peace lilies, calatheas, other plants that would be okay being like a little more wet than not. Those plants would be okay with the water bulb. There is self-watering plant pots, and that'd kind of be that's even like a step up. But the watering bulbs are not. It's not a one size fits all, I guess. So like you could use it for specific plants that like if you read on the label and it says likes it to be constantly moist without overwatering to where the roots rot, right? Okay, that probably is a good indicator that watering bulb might work. So a 1/4 cup a week, I think. Who asked this?
Oh, it's Renee.
Okay.
But she said it was a friend that does a 1/4 cup a week. I'm assuming she means that she waters each plant a 1/4 cup a week?
So this is like an internet debate.
Well, I guess if they're not dying, then it's working.
Yes, but then, so all plants, let's just pretend that plant is in its natural space.
Sure.
There's not a dude running around or a girl running around with a 1/4 cup of water, and it's like, that's all you get.
In the rainforest.
Or anywhere.
Or in the
even
desert.
in the desert.
Okay.
Like, that does not exist.
So you're equating it to like how often it rains?
In where it lives. So succulents, they live on a hillside that's like a gritty, rocky hillside.
Yeah.
And it probably has monsoons.
Okay.
It's not like a little spit of rain here and there
But
every couple days.
It's not. Yeah, it's like sparing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so when it does rain, it pours.
Pours on it.
So I would recommend getting away from using those types of measurements. Like, okay, I'm just going to give this thing it's 2 ice cubes or a 1/4 cup of water. So usually what's wrong is the soil is not right for the plant. And so if we put too much water, it like gets too soggy, or we're watering too frequently. So my answer to that is I would recommend not doing that. I would water more, like less frequent, but make sure the water is coming out the bottom of that thing. You want to fully water so all the roots and the entire root ball are getting fully saturated. Because what happens is if you're only watering a 1/4 cup and it doesn't get all the way through, now we've got like the bottom half of your pot that maybe has roots in it that just end up drying up because they never get it. So now you don't have it the plant's not as strong as it could be. So that's a long, like I said, there's like, I know there's internet debate about it. And I guess if I was in the internet debate, that would be my stance.
Yeah.
I've done that before, but I know long term that's not necessarily the right thing to do.
I guess for anybody wanting to know, if you're struggling and you're doing that, listen to what David's saying. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it.
Well, you can do that, but I think eventually the soil in your plants might become what's called hydrophobic.
Yeah.
Right? It'll lock up.
And you don't know that right away.
No.
That doesn't happen right away. So this is important kind of things to look at when you're trying to decide what did I do. Okay, that kind of goes into this next question is, how do you tell if the soil is good?
So if it is one color, And we're talking tropical houseplants, succulents, cactus.
The soil is one color?
If the soil is one color, it's not good.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is like it's just one part of what needs to be part of that potting soil. So one color, if it's a straight brown, and you bought it at like a hardware store, it probably only has like peat moss, or maybe it's just mostly compost.
Yeah.
So those are all both okay, like beneficial parts of potting soil, but you want your soil to be have a lot of different texture and a lot of different colors, right? Perlite is white. And
do you have an example of your wild soil?
yeah, I got soils.
You wanna show the camera.
So
Do you have any soil that, I know you don't like to badmouth anything, but do you have soil that you don't think people should use, or?
well, I mean, use what you got. I'm not going to badmouth it, but I would recommend supporting somebody local,
Yeah.
closer to you, that's like totally into plants, and the soil is a very important part of it.
You can't see your face.
Well, because I'm looking here.
I know.
So what I mean by that is, there's some big bagged companies that make, Miracle Grow, and that's fine. Miracle Grow uses synthetic fertilizers in it. So if you use a lot of that, then there's a lot of salt buildup. And they're also just using like mass-produced things, so it's not going to be like this nice custom blend. So I would get a local source and try to blend it yourself, or find a local company that's already making the soil.
I guess this is,
we sell our stuff online, but
using soil sounds like, what kind of foods are you eating? What kind of foods are you feeding your
this is
plants?
your food for your plants.
Yeah.
And so can they see?
So if you are super hippie, you might go super hippie route. That's
so
cool.
there is a brand called Fox Farm, and that's a bigger brand, but I am like,
that's a good.
I like
that's
that
a really
brand.
good brand, actually.
They got
I really like them.
Ocean Forest Fox
Yeah.
Farm has what I'm talking about.
So here's what they see, in case you want.
They can't see nothing.
Right.
Okay.
So show them what you're
So
showing.
with the soil, what I'm talking about, you can see this soil. This is our base soil, and it's going to have nice big chunks of perlite. It's different colors of brown because there's compost, there's peat moss, there's cocoa coir in here. That's all mixed in this. This is the base. That's what our base is. And then we have mycorrhizae, and we also have, which is like microorganisms make the soil living. And then we usually further mix with earthworm castings, right? And then if you're really trying to make it more airy, then you're using more perlite. So I like to use perlite to break up the soil. So depending on the plants, there's also different mixes. And then this is activated charcoal.
They probably won't be able to see that.
It's going to be black in the white here. Can you see it?
I don't know. You could probably put it up to the camera a little more
Well, now I mixed it.
to like give them a good close up.
So this is our base. I don't know if people kind of see. It's just in this little guy.
That's good.
You can see there's a lot of color. So if your soil doesn't look like this, I'm not saying to throw it away. I'm just saying maybe you need to add something to it. So go buy a bag of chunky perlite or a perlite, and if you need help identifying, hey, I have this plant. What do I mix together to make a good soil for it? Then we'll happily tell you what's put in there. The other things. So if we're talking philodendrons or tropicals like that are aeroids, then we're using some different. We're mixing the base mix, and we're mixing it further with cocoa chunks. Here.
Yeah, I mean, if you have it, you should show it. That's always good.
I got all the things.
He's got all the things. Well, not everything is here. A lot of our stuff's at the store. So while he's getting that, I'm going to look over we have a couple more questions that we can go over today. This has actually been really good. I think that once we publish the live,
18 minutes.
yeah, we'll be able to really chronologically mark everything that we talked about, and so you can go back and watch it. If you're watching the replay, you'll be able to review all the things we talked about, or you can just click on the thing you want to know about.
So we don't have our own worm castings, Glenn. You just got this straight from Amazon. But worm castings is very important in helping get the soil. This is how the worms come to be in your plants. Worm casting.
And I can link that
So this
particular
is
one he got in the
So in-
description of the video.
in the mix, right? So I have different parts that I do, but we want to use the cocoa nuggets when we're talking aeroids. So these are plants that climb, monsteras, philodendron, other tropical climbers. You want to put that in with your mix, and that helps prevent root rot. Because usually what happens is somebody plants an aeroid into like a regular potting soil, and the roots get too wet, and then it's just floppy in there. We actually have somebody's one right here. I'll show you what happens.
I was trying to find where the share button is. Is it? Copy link. Okay, I'm gonna put the link for this worm casting in the chat, and I'll also include it in the description of the video in case you want it. I think I put the right link. I better click it.
So
and make sure.
this one here is what not
Yep.
to do. So it's
In
a
the chat.
regular, it's a regular potting mix, and now this is what we've left ourselves with. So there's still some roots. They're still white on the top, but this used to be right. They used to go down.
Mhm.
So this needs to be repotted, and so I'm going to repot it, and it needs to be in a more chunky soil. And then these pots are not good for aeroids anyways. These ones with the saucer built in. You want to allow the water to come straight through.
That was another question I was asking about, like what to look for in a planter, and I think it does go based on what kind of plant you are getting.
Entirely based on the plant. So if so for aeroids, like this is an elbow, but these kind never one with the saucer built in. Never. This is no.
Don't do that.
For succulents and cactus, you want a low planter.
Yep.
So I think we have like a little low one. Just
Yep.
know that they don't need 4 inches tall
No.
of soil in this little succulent. It needs to be like a 2-inch tall.
Oh my
It could be
gosh.
wide. Regular. So the ones with the little saucer, that can just be like regular houseplants.
Yeah.
So like pothos can go in there. Your peace lilies can go in those kinds. Your like normal type like houseplants.
And the size of the pot, the planter that you want versus the plant that you're buying.
Size matters. So you want to never put a little plant in a big huge pot.
No.
So usually the rule is whatever your pot size is, go 2 inches up when
Yeah.
you repot or when
Or
you're
the
potting
same
it up.
size.
Or the same size.
Or the same size. But you probably should just buy 2 inches bigger.
So in general, just 2 inches. So if you've got a 6-inch plant, then your pot should not be bigger than 8 inches.
Yeah.
To put this in.
Yeah.
And the reason why is if you say I put this in a 12-inch pot, now I have this much soil around this, right? So it's like 3-4 inches on each side that I'm watering. So now it's all wet all around the plant.
Yeah.
And it just gets too wet. So if you do have some of those, I'm not saying, hey, throw all those away or get bigger plants. Just know, like, hey, if I've got this little plant in this big pot, that means I can't water it that much because I'm just making this, like, large water bog.
And then if it's looking like the plant is getting too big for the pot, then
It'll
eventually you'll need to upsize it.
depending on the plant.
Yeah.
So ZZ plants and snake plants, they'll start busting out the sides.
Yeah.
It's usually time
seen
to
that time and time again.
usually time to. They do like to be tight though, so those ones you could just get the pot the same size as them.
Yeah.
But they will continually grow that way.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is kind of a big question, but we have time. I want to make sure. I'm trying to remember the question I wanted to ask towards the end. Oh, okay, yeah, I've got my last two. Okay, so this one is, of course, this is a very big question. We get it all the time. Is what kind of plants are safe around my pets? That's very serious thing. You know, obviously, if your beloved animal, eats something that is poisonous, that's not good. Yeah.
So there are certain varieties that are like generally pet safe, and then there's others that are a little less. So a lot of the, I guess, easiest plant that is pet safe is going to be a peperomia type plant.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like a beginner one. I do have one that's like right there. It's in the rehab box.
This one?
Yeah.
That's still good. Whoop. I'm going to trip over your plants.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Yeah, that one needs to be rehabbed.
So, peperomia, this plant is pet safe. They get much bigger. They get nice and big. But this is one. Good choice. Calatheas.
Here's
Oh,
here's the
so
plant
for the succulents,
Don't mind the plants in there. I'm repotting them.
getting repotted, but they don't like to be super deep. Like we wouldn't put this in a big, tall, right? Because somebody has all this soil for this tiny little root ball. So succulents recommended, unless it's a big cactus or something and you're in Arizona, like they should be in shallow bowls. Pet safe plants. That one there is.
Dieffenbachia.
So Dieffenbachias.
And we have a whole.
The other one too.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, pitcher plants. So Nepenthes.
I'm gonna
The carnivorous plant.
go to our website.
Pet safe. And then Calatheas, which there's a Calathea down there. Right there.
This one?
Yeah. And on our website, we have it organized by Pet Safe.
Yeah.
So all the Calatheas are pet safe, but
I'm
this
gonna
is
link
not. These are dramatic. So if you're getting into plants, maybe don't start with this one.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
But
okay, I'm gonna post
they're
this in the
rad.
chat.
They're like rad plants. They're just a little dramatic.
Oh, okay. We did get a question right now from Serena. It says, any general advice for a string of pearls and getting rid of fungus gnats? That's a good question.
You got fungus gnats in the string of pearls. Where are you at?
Yeah, where are you from?
And
'Cause
then
that will determine some things.
So string of pearls. You could drench it with a peroxide bath, or you can use BT. Our leaf and tonic will also work. But if you have fungus gnats, then we've got a watering problem. So that's why I asked where you're at, so I could give you specific guidance on what we're doing as far as watering goes. And we all know, or if you've had one, that's the strings of anythings are not a beginner plant.
Those are harder plants.
They can definitely be harder. And there's sometimes, even if you're following all the things that you're supposed to be doing and it's inside, it gets a little batch of bad air. I don't know. And so I've personally had to be like, oh shucks, I had to drag it back out into the greenhouse and do it over again. So generally speaking, if you have fungus gnats, that means you're overwatering.
Usually, yeah.
But it could be many different things. The overwatering could be there's like a lot of dead stuff on the top, right? You got DEET, which I don't know how you'd have that in string of pearls, but you have like leaves and other dead material that they breed in.
Yeah.
The fungus gnats they're not fun. They're hard to get rid of once you get them.
Yeah.
But the answers are one. Okay, let's correct. I was waiting for
To
a
see.
response, but
Serena, if you're on right now, can you just let us know where you're at, and we'll try to
So-
give you more specific.
so we want to correct the watering because if we're the fungus gnats are going to breed in an area that has like a lot of moisture, a lot of decaying matter. You can treat with something like leaf and tonic, or you could do. There's a product called BT. It's a scientific name, so I'm just going to say BT, so I don't say it wrong. Bassar something, Bassarilis, and you can
We'll
also.
be sure to post the links to these types of things.
Yeah, and I can also post on there. You can do a
in the
peroxide.
description.
You could do a peroxide
Oh.
drench.
She's in Alabama. Once I did peroxide mix, I think I killed it.
Yeah, so that's where you got to be really careful with it. What you could do with your string of pearls, if you haven't repotted it, right? Because your soil is just full of those, so you could just repot the string of pearls.
Would she take them down to the root?
You could just get all the nasty soil, throw it away,
Yep.
and get new soil that maybe isn't as maybe there's a lot of like organic matter in the soil she's got.
Yeah, and that's causing that.
So that's what I would say to do. The other thing you could do too is you could just leave the string of pearls if they're already hanging over and it's a decent amount. Get a new pot, let them hang over into it, and it'll reattach there, and then you get new ones and you just cut it, and then you can get rid of the one that way.
The one
I'll show you guys.
Yucky. I love string of pearls, but they are tough. And go Alabama. That's where my day job is a gaming company, and we are based out of Birmingham. So I love Alabama. Beautiful place. Would you say is dealing with this any different in Alabama versus anywhere else you were thinking?
No, because it's southern.
It's southern. Okay. Yeah, if
And
you
it's
were
colder than here.
in a lot colder space, then I
But-
think it would be a little different.
So this is a string of
Banana.
bananas. You can see
Let me see
there
if
were some
you're on the
issues
screen.
there.
Maybe you should
You
go
see?
a little closer.
I'm in the jungle. Don't mess up the plants. So this is the original one here, and I've got a new
Trying to show you what you're doing.
pot.
See what you're doing.
Yeah. All right. So here's this guy right here, and I wound this in here into new soil, and then I'm now have these kind of connected, and then I'm watering here. And this is just gonna be could be regular potting soil with like extra perlite added to it for strings of. They don't need anything more than that. But as I do this now, this string of pearls, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
This is gonna grow here. Once this roots in, I'm gonna cut here, and then I've got brand new guy to grow.
Yeah.
And then I'll redo this.
And then with watering these guys, since you said that it's probably an overwatering issue, what's your recommendation with watering
So
the string of pearl?
So the string of pearls, what a lot of people do wrong is because
Hold on, because you're far away. Just put it down. Be by the microphone.
I'm new here.
You're gonna give
String
me
of
an
pearls.
editing nightmare. No.
All right. So with strings of anything, what happens is we have this like fine balance that we're trying to reach, and that we're inside, so it makes it harder. But a lot of times we overwater, so then the top starts getting a little funky. But so then we were like, oh, we got to let it dry out. But so a lot of people will bottom water string of pearls if they're inside. So you bottom water, but my recommendation is like you don't want to bring the water all the way through it, but you want to allow the top to still stay moist. So what that means is like we're giving it a little bit of water on top. Most of the water's coming from the bottom, but we're not letting it sit in that water for like hours on end to try to get it all the way through.
Right.
So that the top is more consistently wet. The other thing too with your strings of anything, make sure that the top of the plant, so pretend this is that, this can't be up in where only this is getting
The
indirect
sun.
light,
Yeah.
because this is just going to get all rotted out because it's not getting sunlight.
Yeah.
It's going to look like it's rotting, but it's from lack of light.
Yeah, because we can be tempted to put it up really high
because it looks all cool and pretty, but then you put it outside. So it needs to be where the light is coming to the top and all the way through. Yeah, I would, if your string of pearls is looking okay on the bottom, but you got fungus gnats, it's definitely, like, if it's looking okay throughout, that means that, you know, maybe the watering is okay that you're giving it, but the soil that you have it in is too nutrient dense. Maybe there's a bunch of stuff on top. If there's a bunch of like leaves or like wood that's decaying, it's breeding in there. So you could try to remove that first if you don't want to fuss with it.
Yeah.
Because I know that can be kind of scary. Because string of pearls are.
But you don't want to kill it.
Yeah, but I've done all of the above and repotted them. If you have space, just do the 2-pot method. Grow a new one right below it. That's what I would do. Yeah. If you're okay with that.
And if you still need more help, be sure to reach out because David will answer you any time of the day, pretty much, if he's awake. He loves to talk about plants.
Yeah,
so.
if I'm available, we're here to help you.
Yeah, you can message us anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
and also
YouTube,
you know, videos and pictures are a lot easier. I know I'm going by like what you said and where you live. Yeah. So I'm not able to actually like see it.
Yeah, because sometimes we see it and it's a little bit different than what we thought. So if you're still concerned, please send us a picture and we'll take a deeper look. But we're almost out of time. I had one more question I wanted to ask, but you kind of went over it already. Just like, what is the number one mistake you see people make? And I think that we've said it multiple times in this session. It's overwatering or underwatering. It's always with water, I think. I feel like that's like the number one.
I guess we can end there.
Yeah, that's
so
what I thought. So
if you want, because like once you get into this, a lot of times, right, you start killing stuff, so you just gotta like keep buying plants, which is okay for the people selling the plants, but then maybe you feel bad, or which you shouldn't.
Well, I think especially if you buy something that was a little bit
if it was a
expensive,
little bit of money,
and you kill it, it's just like, ugh, I don't want to buy that again and kill it.
Yeah, I do get that a lot. Yeah. I just can't keep plants alive. So the way to do that, because it is fun to like see something that you've been caring for get nice and big and full and pretty. The way that I will always say is like it's 100% like number one's going to be how are you watering it? Yeah. Or it could be like the type of water you're giving it. There's like so many factors, but so if you're one that like runs around with the water pitcher. And that is your way of checking because you're just dousing everything with water. Step 1, put the water pitcher down. I yell it. Nicely tell Crystal all the time. No.
Don't water.
No water. Water pitcher down. So before you do any watering, just go check. Because what you're going to end up doing is, like, say you got 20 plants and they're in the same room, but they're different kinds. Now we're not going to have to water 20 plants. You probably are going to have to water like 10.
Yeah. That's something that like has been really nice to have learned as we've been taking care of more and more and more plants because I like get so overwhelmed with how many plants that we have to care for sometimes. But then he's like, it's okay. You just check them. And so then I'm like, oh, and I get excited because I'm like, oh, this one's not ready. This one is ready. This one's not ready. And then I'm able to like separate them all and then water the ones that are ready and leave the ones that are good alone. And it takes a lot less time.
Yeah, you'll end up saving yourself time, especially from like if you've overwater something, it's really hard to come back from overwatering. Yeah. Versus underwatering, it's a lot easier. Like you're not like the roots aren't rotted. You just got a wilting plant. Yeah. So less is always more, especially with watering. And I would say to end it like that would be the number one piece. What was that exact question?
What's the number one mistake you see people
Number one mistake I see people making is walking around with the water thing and they're just watering everything. And I would recommend, we're going to water some things, but let's check them first. And I would recommend if you don't have a moisture meter and you've got a few plants and you're having a hard time, buy a moisture meter.
Yeah.
And that will take all the guesswork out of it. The instructions are on there, and that really, really will be a good tool. And you probably go from like maybe killing some things to, holy cow, I kept that plant alive for a couple months now.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to kill it. You just get a new one and try again. Don't be afraid. But if you liked this video and you want more questions answered about plants, please send us your questions or comment on this video, and we will answer them for you on the comment and probably in another upcoming live that we do. Be sure to subscribe because we do a live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we do different stuff. Every week is something new. Last week we did a terrarium building contest, and this week we are going over some Q&A. But yeah, and David will be posting, he'll probably be posting the video of you repotting that plant that you showed over there.
I've got a lot of work to do right now in the
couple different videos,
upsizing and
yeah,
care department right now.
So those will be some videos that'll be coming out soon, and then if there's a specific subject you want us to focus on, please let us know. But yeah, we're way out of time. We're over. Okay. Well, we appreciate all of you that came on and hung out with us. And everybody who sent in their questions, thank you so much. That was exciting. We actually have quite a few more that we can answer on another video, so we will definitely do that soon. Yeah,
so we'll, if nothing else, we'll see you guys next Tuesday for the live, but follow us on the socials. We're on Instagram and Facebook.
And TikTok. And YouTube.
And on the YouTube.
We're everywhere.
We post things regularly. We are All Things Plant Company, and we grow our own plants. We have stores that we sell plants in, and we also do plant care inside larger places. So we're taking care of lots of different plants all the time, all over the place.
So we're seeing all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, been good.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
All
See
right.
you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.